Joining us now from the nation's capital is Idaho Representative Russ Fulcher. Congressman, I really appreciate you joining us. So we just saw the defense wrap up their really defense of the president so far. They kind of came out, they finished their 3 days of arguments. What's been your response so far to the way that they've handled this process?
I think the defense has done a very good job. They were much more concise than their Democrat counterparts, and they, I think, did a very good job of supporting the president's position. And hopefully this will get wrapped up sooner rather than later. It's my understanding that there would be the potential for a motion to adjourn or acquit first before there is a motion on the possibility of witnesses. And so with that, I think that probably gives the Senate the opportunity to adjourn or acquit first.
So they will have that option then, as you said, and it will require a simple majority, 51 votes. As of right now, Republicans have a 53-47 majority, so they do have the power really to do that if they want. But we've also heard that some of the senators, for example, Mitt Romney, say that maybe someone like John Bolton should come in and testify. And we've heard some talk behind the scenes that there may be kind of a tit-for-tat type of witness demonstration, whether or not a witness will come in and testify for Republicans and in exchange Democrats will get one. Is that something that you'd like to see, or do you think that senators should just kind of play this process with the cards that they have right now?
I've actually taken a different viewpoint on this from the beginning. I felt it would have been smart to have witnesses, but for a different reason, to get to the bottom of all this. The whole impeachment ploy has turned into a weapon. And the only way to really stop that, from my perspective, is to get the bottom of the situation, bring in those truly responsible for all this, and tear it down and identify exactly who did what, how did this come about, and make sure that it never happens again. I know that's probably not going to happen, and it's my understanding that if there is a motion for witnesses, it won't just be one person. It won't just be John Bolton. There'll be some kind of a negotiation on a package for who is to come in.
And I think that's an interesting point, too, because one thing that kind of goes unsaid about all of this is that, for example, if your approach was taken, it's an opportunity to essentially exonerate someone like Joe Biden, who said that he's been innocent the entire time. So that may be an interesting side point that you bring up. It's not necessarily just kind of an announcement of an investigation in order to smear someone. There is actually other information to be found. So, as you said, though, it doesn't look like the Senate will go that route right now. But regarding this whole impeachment process altogether, do you believe that after this is done, say that the president's acquitted, which it looks like it will be that case as of right now. Of course, we don't want to jump to conclusions. Do you think that your colleagues in the House, the Democrats, will continue to investigate this?
You know, they have been so aggressive with just a viciousness against this president. And I think that's a very bad move on their behalf, because what's happening ultimately is we are being threatened as a result of that. This sends a horrible message to our enemies. We've got the situation in Iran where I think the president correctly took out one of the worst terrorists on the planet. And right after that, then all this attention goes on to the impeachment, the possible witness move. We're going to have this vote coming up on the use of authorized military force. That's going to be coming up here in the next day or two. It's designed to send a signal that we're split here, that we're not supporting the president. And I think that's a very, very bad message to send our enemies abroad.
Yeah, and as you bring up, too, it is a little bit of a tense time. I mean, we see with Iran right now that there have been escalations rising. We saw the back and forth, the rocket strikes. We saw the killing of General Qasem Soleimani. And you bring up the War Powers Resolution, too. That's something now that Congress members will have to address in the upcoming future. What is your kind of your take on the latest developments? We saw a rocket strike on the U.S. Embassy over the weekend. We've seen kind of a tit-for-tat response going back and forth with Iran. What's your response right now to the handling of the administration regarding Iran?
So here was an opportunity that there could have been a bipartisan approach on this military war powers resolution. And the Democrats, once again, made it a partisan move. Most people on both sides of the aisle would like to address the whole war power situation. It hasn't been since 2002. But instead of allowing that to take place, what they did was they took a bill that already had passed, having to do with coins or a medallion, and basically gut that and place this in the form of an amendment, which eliminates the Republican opportunity to have their own amendment or debate it, really. And so this is coming up in the form of a very partisan approach, and I think it's just in very bad faith. Clearly, it's a shot at the president, and oh, by the way, the timing allows him to do that right when this trial is coming to a peak. So it's clear what the Democrats are trying to do on that front. I think it's very sad. I think it's very unfortunate. We shouldn't have to operate in such a partisan fashion. Once again, it also sends a tremendous message to our enemies that we're fractured here. And what will happen, too, is if there's some Republican votes that peel off, then a lot of the mainstream media will be out professing, see, the Republicans are fractured, they're fractured, and that's precisely what it's designed to do.
And to your point, too, I mean, there was some bipartisan support behind that resolution. We saw some individuals like Mike Lee, Rand Paul, senators come out and kind of say that they would support maybe a war powers resolution, asking for more information, of course. But before I let you go, too, we saw the White House unveil their Middle East peace plan this morning, of course, between Israel and the Palestinian people. What's your reaction to that peace plan?
Generally speaking, I think it's good. It underscores the need for security of Israel. And also, it's just pressure on Iran in particular to just stop the terrorism thing and stop being bad actors. But make no mistake about it, they're not our friends. They weren't our friends for a long time. They're not our friends now. They're not likely to be our friends. We're going to have to maintain some kind of a presence in the region, and we're going to have a big hammer because, frankly, that's all they understand. So that's going to have to be part of our policy moving forward. And so I think it's a good package that the president's put out there, but we will still have to maintain a strong presence there because, frankly, that's all they understand. Yeah,
and of course, a big part of that plan, too, was kind of demilitarizing that whole situation in the Middle East. They kind of went more a financial route. That's something that they're looking to do. But Representative Fulcher, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.